This is For the Creators.
On this week's episode of the podcast, Veneer sits down with Kojo Marfo, the founder of My Runway Group, a production company which merges the different elements of creative arts to empower young people. Kojo's story is an extremely fascinating one because his journey from boarding school to the philanthropist that he is today was filled with many ups and downs, but he persevered through it. Throughout the conversation, they discussed how he went from living a privileged life in Ghana to cleaning toilets in the UK, from planning to commit suicide one day, to planning events and eventually owning his own nightclub at university. And finally, what sparked the idea for his amazing organisation, My Runway Group, and the work they are doing with young creatives in the UK. If you're a creative who has struggled with mental illness, or if you're just interested in hearing a truly motivating and empowering story, this episode is for you.
So can you still speak Twi?
Can I still speak Twi?
Is it Twi?
Tree.
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 Good. Yeah.
Tree.
Oh, you have to read it again. Tree.
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 Okay, tell me a sentence in tree. Like,
say something and I'll translate it.
I'm happy to be here.
I won't
try to repeat it, and I'll just believe that was.
Aye midday
Means
I'm happy. To string go along. Yeah.
That's dope. Do you speak it often? Or?
Yeah, because I still speak it at home. I don't think I was just speaking for like 18 years before I came over, so it's
so
not. I'm not one of those people that act like I can't speak it.
So after you went to boarding school,
I left boarding school and then I joined my family in December of that same year. That was 2006.
Is that in December you joined them here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I turned 18 in December 15th, and I joined them around December 20th.
Nice. So what was that transition like, going from Ghana to England? Where did you end up? Was that in the Midlands or?
No, my family still lives in London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
They've always lived in London. I was excited, but not as excited because when I just gone into boarding school, my mum came down to get my brother and I. My brother was like younger; he was like 8 or 9, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll go." But I had just started a new experience in my life. Like it was like my second or third week in school, and I've heard so much stories before going into it, and I was not going to miss out. So I'm like, I'm not coming.
That's so crazy that you opted to be in boarding school rather than to be with your parents.
Right, and now looking back, that's one of like the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
Amazing.
Right, and it's solely because I just wanted to meet new people, and I just get excited about hearing about other people's stories, about how they live. Like similar to what you were speaking to before, I'll get chauffeur driven to school. My school fees was about, I think, $1,000 or something like that a term, and it was just that type of life I was used to, right? So coming to like a boarding school and seeing someone else that they have literally nothing in their locker and it has to last them for a period or whatever it is, it was just, to me, it was like I want to see more of this. I just want to engage with people, and I think that's where my sense of empathy and whatnot came from. And I wasn't looking forward to anything in London anyways. Now my brother was excited, so he left, and he went with my mum, and I had to wait till I said I was going to wait till I finished secondary school, and I did.
So it's good that your parents gave you that option as well, because usually parents just say, look, we're going to England.
Yeah,
that's it. So at least you got the option.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, I'm coming back in 2 weeks," because she was in Ghana for 2 weeks. She's like, "I'm coming back in 2 weeks, so you got time to think about it." And I don't know what happened within the 2 weeks.
She just never came back.
No, she did come back.
Oh, she did?
Like, she came from like Accra to Cape Coast to the school to say, "Have you made up your mind?" I'm like, "No, I'm staying." And it's like, "Oh, it is. I'm taking your brother." And she left with my brother. Yeah.
Cool.
And it was just me.
So then when you finished boarding school, you came to the UK.
Yeah.
Did you go straight into college?
I think 26. The next year I did, right? But it was only before I found out, because I came in when I was 18. I wasn't allowed to. My parents were actually struggling to get me into the country. That's why it took like 6 months to get me in, and the laws had changed and whatnot. So I had to come in with like a visiting visa, and that only lasted for like 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Right. So my mom's like, "Oh, you have to go back and go to like college or university in Ghana, and then come back for your masters, or you can stay, and it means you stay as an immigrant." But these days, I don't even know what an
What the
immigrant
difference
is.
is,
Right? I'm
yeah.
like, I'm here now, so I'll stay, and whatever happens, happens. And then around the same time, I kind of found out what my parents were doing to fund my lifestyle over there, and I had this weird sense of guilt. I was like, there was no way I'm gonna ask you lot for money or anything. It stops here. I had this new sense of faith and drive, and I'm like, I didn't know my dad was involved in any cleaning business, or like I didn't know he was doing any cleaning at all. I didn't know my mom was doing care, or I'm like, but how on earth are you raising all this money to pay for my fees? And I felt so guilty because what I used to do is I used to emotionally blackmail them.
Oh
So
wow.
right, so even when I don't have money,
Even when you had
or
money.
even when I had money, I would be like, you lot in London, you're chilling, and I'm here, and I'm by myself, and I need money, and no one sent me any money for a while. And like, oh, but we just sent you money like 2, 3 weeks ago. I was like, but it's finished, and da da da.
Oh wow.
And I felt so
That was
guilty.
like a wake up call.
Yeah, and then it's like, I started appreciating it more. It's like, I didn't mean to milk you guys. Like,
The prodigal son. Money doesn't grow on trees, boy.
So I just started seeing like, Ghana is meant to be where, in quote, people are suffering, right? And that's when we're living like our best lives. And then London is where it's on TV, it's all good,
Yeah.
and
Streets
that's
are paved in gold,
and like,
right?
where is the gold? And
I'm trying to find it.
I'm thinking, that's crazy because my dad had to wake up like 4. I didn't get to see him when I wake up, and I'm thinking, what the hell? What's he doing for life? Like, what is this about? He had a very good job. We had all these things, cars, good houses, and he left all of that for this just so he probably can. I don't know what his reasons were at that time, but I just felt like this is it. You're not doing anything for me anymore, and I don't care what an immigrant is. I'm just gonna go out there and get mine.
Nice. So then you started university at Coventry.
Nah, we got time.
We got time. Okay.
Cool. So these times I had to find out what a CV is, right? We want to-
Oh yeah, because you'd never worked before.
no.
See, little sweet boy just
So I
down there
made up
living
one.
life.
Yeah, and I just went to the job center, applied for like 100 jobs. I'm an immigrant.
Could you apply for jobs though as an immigrant?
No, but this is my state of mind then. Like, I didn't care what anyone said. I'm just like, my parents have done enough. I'm here. Even though I live with them, I'm by myself. I just need to make something work. So I don't care. I'll just go out there and get it done. And if I get in trouble, I get in trouble. If I don't, I don't. That's like my state of mind. And I was praying a lot anyways. So I just felt like something good would come out of it. And I got employment in a Nigerian restaurant. And after like 2 weeks, it's like, oh, we need to see your passport and your NI. And like, and I was like, can we have a conversation? And I'm like, I just turned 18. And then the lady's like, oh, we know we can't really employ you. And I just said everything about, look, my mom said I'm an immigrant. It means I can't work, but I just can't be at home and watch them do whatever they do. So I would really appreciate it if you can still keep me here. And she's like, oh no, you have to go. And then when I left on my way back, I got a phone call. She's like, you should come back tomorrow, and I'll pay you £5 an hour, but just don't tell anyone about our deal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Auntie Kemi, shout out to Auntie Kemi, and she kept me there for about 2 years. But during the time, my dad also found me a job as a cleaner in a school that he was a supervisor for. So he was like recruiting people and whatnot. So I was doing that, and I was cleaning, and I was just having conversations with cleaners, right? And I'll say, like, I'll ask them whatever questions. And a couple of them had been there for like 15 years, 20 years, doing the same type of job. We can't blame them.
But is it what they wanted to do? Did that come out
I
of the
think there's a bit of
conversations?
security and thin line between security and comfort, right? So you get the money. Most of their money goes back to like Ghana or wherever countries they're from. Anyways, it's enough to keep their family happy or start a project. And again, no one's bothering you, so it's fine. So as much as they might have individual aspirations and whatnot to get to a certain level in life, it's just what they have to deal with, and unfortunately they couldn't. But being there just taught me that I could end up saying out to someone else that I've been doing this for 15 years, or I can find a way out. So that's what kind of, and it was in a school. So every time I see kids come around, or like these young people, I'll just keep telling myself, if I had the chance to go to school, I'm not going to mess it up, or I'm not going to blow it. And I started valuing certain things a bit more. And then the times I wasn't too serious in school, I just felt like I did something extra, So
it really sounds like the prodigal son story.
Oh, listen.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Because you went from
early.
having everything.
Yeah.
And then you came here where you kind of had to like relearn.
Yeah. And I was happy to
just be humble and
right, yeah. And just a couple years
appreciate what you
before,
had more.
I had sorry to cut you. I felt like I'd been trained for the life that was ahead of me. So if I had come straight from my junior secondary school, or from the chauffeur lifestyle to this, I would just be, I don't know what my life would have been, but I just thought I was well prepared for whatever life.
Because you
threw
had the
me.
hustle mentality,
Yeah,
and you saw that
yeah.
around you, and also you'd seen other students who were at the level that you ended up being
Right.
there. Because remember you spoke about, people who came from like a fisherman's
Yeah,
village,
yeah.
and people who had to survive off
yeah.
the food that they had in their
Yeah.
locker for a certain amount of time.
Of course.
And you were the privileged one that was getting money on a regular
Right,
basis.
yeah.
And then you went from that to this. So I think that just gave you a mad amount of empathy.
Right. Pretty
And
much
also
so.
knowing that you can create your future and determine it as well.
Yeah, it's I think from an early age, I just knew your future was really in your hands. Kofi and I didn't really come from a wealthy background, but look what he did with his opportunity and his drive. And I felt that in a lot of people that I was dealing with, all they knew was to just study. Like the people wake up around 3 a.m. to go to the academic side to go, do work or research or whatever. And you're talking about 14-year-olds waking up 3 a.m. to do this, or 15-year-olds.
Because they knew like
That's
how many.
their only way out.
Because they stood on the shoulders of so many.
So many
Imagine if your
people, right.
whole village
Pretty
paid
much,
for you
right.
to be
So
there. That's a privilege.
You can't be the guy that just, and it was obvious the people that weren't putting work in, because there was alternatives for them. The parents probably got companies that they're gonna just end up,
Inheriting.
yeah, or being wherever too. So it was clear who was there for a reason, and the people in the middle could also make the choice of whether you want to go this way or go that way.
So how did you make the transition from cleaning to going to college or uni?
I stayed as a cleaner. I was. Have you Ludbrooks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ludbrooks like a very interesting place to work.
Were you working there as a cleaner? Or
Yeah, as a
working-
cleaner.
Okay, cool.
Right. So my dad had
In the
this.
betting office.
My dad had this subcontract for like Northwest area or North London, and so they were looking for cleaners to clean betting shops, but pretty much just Ludbrooks, and they're open every day except for Christmas. So you can't take a day off. There's no holiday.
Wow.
There's but you just have to keep cleaning either after they finish or just before they open. So that was my job, and I was doing the school in the morning. So you have to get to the school from like 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. right? And then I was doing Ludbrooks in the evening. So after like they shut for like 10 o'clock, and then I remember my house was in Ben Oak. But I was cleaning shops in like Shepherd's Bush.
Okay.
I'll get back home around 1, and I have to get ready for college or school cleaning before I go to college. So I was getting a bit of money coming, supporting here when I can. But it was just, I decided to go and apply to go to college. And again, you have the usual, you're an immigrant, you're not allowed to do stuff like that. Wait, your time will come or not.
Yeah.
But I wasn't hearing none of that. Prayed. When I applied for it, in God's own way, I ended up being enrolled. I don't know if I can say the college's name. Just so they don't get in trouble.
Maybe not.
That's fine. I went Barnet College. It was
It's already done now.
yeah. Like what can you do now? But again, I say it because I believe God had a big role in.
It's crazy because technically you shouldn't have been allowed to do
right,
any of these
anything
things.
at all. So for me, I'm excited that favor was a big thing in my life at that time and now as well. So I done physics, maths, and ICT for 2 years in Barnet College, and then the next stage obviously was to go and do my university course, and it was another conversation about, okay, this is where you chill, because you had a bit of luck with college, but university is like government, and you without a passport, they don't even know whether to classify you as a home student or international. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't even exist. So take a break. But again, I wasn't hearing none of that.
Very tenacious, eh?
You should have seen me then.
Hey.
I wasn't here. Not like I was being recalcitrant or stubborn. It was just I felt like nothing was a given. I just had to go out there.
You never know until you
yeah,
try.
and because the college thing worked out, I was like, what's stopping me now? So I remember asking my mate Talifa. She's like, she's going Coventry. I was like, Coventry.
Yeah, because you're in London, aren't you?
I've never heard the name Coventry. It's like, where is that? So I searched it. Just a couple of white people came up on the homepage. Do you remember when like Megabus used to do like £1 trip, right?
Yeah.
I got on one, went to Coventry, checked it out, went to like the museum, the car museum, went to a couple places, the cathedral. I was like, I could be here. I don't mind. It's cool. But what I really wanted to be is further from family or anyone that was going to tell me no. So even the night before I was going to go to uni, my parents didn't believe I was actually enrolled, right? But again, God being so great, I got enrolled into Coventry University and I studied aerospace engineering. And that's where like the other half of my life started.
Cool. So you studied aerospace engineering because you've always wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah.
So why aren't you a pilot?
I want to own an airline now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Somewhere between Richard Branson and Gandhi.
You've been a wise to go. Yeah.
I've been doing my research.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how was it at uni? How was the course? Did you enjoy it?
Not as much as I should have. It's only because, with aerospace engineering, you get to do this advantage model, like choose wherever you want. So I chose the Coventry House as like a special arrangement with Coventry Airport. So you can do your PPL, private pilot license. So like my early classes, just older people, man. And I'm thinking, why? What? It's like just a bunch of like 45-year-olds or 55-year-olds. And I made a friend and I asked him like, why? Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I was like, a lot of older people in my class compared to my other models. And he's like, this is like a career changing thing for most people.
Okay.
They've done what they wanted to do in life. In their past life, it's like an accountant. That guy is like
So they're kind of the people who didn't pursue their childhood dreams and now they're trying to catch up.
Pretty much. But what that taught me is I can go do anything I want and come back and do this. Because at the end of the day, all you need is just the money to be trained, right, through a college or whatever program that the aviation is running. And then you're a fully qualified pilot. Like, there's people that don't have...
It sounds so easy.
No, it is. Like, if you got the money, you're 80% passed. Like, the pass rate for pilots is ridiculous. If you got the money to go through the pilot training college for like 18 months or whatever, depending on where you go, you are a fully trained pilot. So I just thought, why don't I not focus most of my time doing what I really enjoyed doing?
Which was?
Which was events.
How did you know that you liked doing events? You had a taste for it beforehand? Cause
I had no taste at all. So this is the thing. When I enrolled, I didn't qualify for student loan. Well, the government didn't know me by name, unfortunately. So I realized, and I had about £200 to my name, right, in uni. Like,
so you needed to make some money.
Right, and my rent was £180 in like a little book shoe. So I needed to make money to stay, or I had to go back. And there wasn't any going back for me. Because it was like, I told you so, or how are you going to stay there? But I had just been deaf ears to all these things, and I'm here now. And I remember I would just pray and just say, God, if you brought me here, just make something out of it, or keep me here type of thing. So I was looking for ways. I was, again, put out my CV and I was just hoping someone calls me or a company gets back to me, and there was no luck at all. So I was like piling up rent, in debt. I was not having food. I was just stretching out the little money I had and buying sales food from Morrison's and spaghetti and sardines and Chinese bowls for
wow.
I was like I remember I used to go shopping with like £4 and I come up with a lot of spaghetti and a lot of
Noodles was
eggs.
your friend.
Yeah, and just so I can stretch money out for a bit, and it was just getting to me, and I just thought, pretty much like the prodigal son, like I'm better off at home, man. But there's something in me telling me, you said you're not gonna ask anyone for money. You can do this, right? Da 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 da. So I was just having so much voices.
But I think it's all of your training from being at boarding school as
Oh,
well.
100%. Like if I didn't have that, I couldn't have survived my first term in uni. Or I would have just gone back. Or I would have just gone back on my word and just called mum
So it's
and
almost
dad.
like having like you can listen to motivational videos and things like that to inspire you. But every time that you felt down or you can compare yourself to someone who had less than you.
It wasn't that bad to me. It was like someone else is going through something, and I'm here, and people are excited. I'm in university. I might as well make something out of it. But then there was that thin line between that and the reality of, like, my room was tiny. It wasn't meant to be rented out. That was what it was like. 180 a month was mad cheap, and I didn't have a laptop. I just had a bag full of clothes, so it was not much to do. And when the lights were off, it's just you and your thoughts. And I felt like I kind of allowed myself for the devil to play a bit on my conscience and start thinking I'll get more appreciated if, I take the easy way out and stuff like that. And that's what kind of led me to, making a decision I would have regretted for my life.
So is that when you started to become suicidal?
Well, I didn't realize I've got myself into a state of depression. I wasn't speaking to anyone. I wasn't even picking up phone calls from my parents, whatnot. And at one point, I just thought the best option was to just, take
End
the
it
easy,
all.
right, and just end it all.
So how did you go from having such a positive mindset? What was like the turning point? Was there something that triggered it? Because all this time, like literally, you've been fighting your way all the way through.
Yeah.
But is it, or maybe it just got too much for you? You just got to breaking point? Was that it?
No, it's easy to deal with no. Like, let's say you apply to go to uni and they say no, it's fine, it's no. You keep applying maybe and whatnot. But when you're in a situation and you don't have a choice of yes or no, or even a maybe, it's like, what are you doing here? And you're digging yourself into further depths and there is no way out just because you've kind of put yourself in a bubble of not allowing anyone to help you. And I feel like because I've lived my life being very independent at a very young age, I just felt like it wasn't manly enough to ask for help, and everything else. And I got myself there. Like, I wasn't supposed to go to uni, advice-wise and whatnot. I wasn't supposed to be there. So I didn't want to go back and say, can I get help? So that kind of kept playing in my mind, and it just felt like I just dug myself this big hole that might as well just bury myself in it, and whatever happened, it's just my choices that got me here, and yeah, that was it.
So can you remember that day? I think you went to see your sister or something in Leicester. So what happened that day?
So I was very close to my sister. So she was in university in Leicester, and I was in Coventry, and I just thought the best I could do was just go see her for the last time.
And your sister had her papers and everything.
No, they came here early. Remember?
Oh yeah, okay.
Right. I was just the guy that said I was
Not
gonna
really
stay. Stay in boarding school. Yeah. So there's this bus called there's a X6 bus that goes from Coventry to Leicester. And I just got on it, and I would spend like the whole day with her speaking. She cooked, whatnot. I was just getting back to the bus stop to get the bus back to Coventry, and missed it. But it was so weird because like the timing is like 5:04, right? And we just strolling, we're walking because it's like 4:45. So we get there for like 5. We got like 4 minutes. and the bus had
It
left.
left already.
Right. So in my heart, I don't have to exaggerate, but I just know what it is. And then she's like, and there's the last one.
So when you were in your mind, that time when you went to see your sister, was that your way of saying goodbye to her?
Yeah,
at that point?
that was what it was. And then she said, "Oh, just stay, and then tomorrow we'll go to church in the morning, and you can just get the next one after that, straight after church." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then it was at church when I was just sitting at the back, watching everything else was happening, and then the church elder was, saying there's someone here that's feeling suicidal. At that moment, I didn't even want to accept that I was feeling suicidal. So, oh, you're not speaking to me, and it's like, oh, God wants you to know you're going to be a great person, and then don't worry about that. So I'm just thinking it's all church talk,
It's just
right?
so generic. You're saying that for
Yeah.
everyone.
And I didn't even really see myself as that type of person, even though that was why I came
What
there
you had
for,
planned,
right?
yeah.
And then it just went further, and he just went, the guy at the back, can you come?
He point you out.
He pointed me out,
No way.
right? And the guy at the back, can you come to the front? And then I walked up to where he was, and I just started crying. And my sister was so confused. And then she called my
Because
sister.
obviously you'd been chilling
Yeah,
with her this whole
we
time.
were actually
and
like cool, and it goes to show you don't know what the next man is thinking.
it's like mental health.
Right.
I saw this photo on Instagram, and it was like a guy smiling, but it was an illustration. So then you can see like in his brain was another like little guy like
Yeah.
cowering
I think-
down
right, yeah.
and crying. And it's like there's so many of us that go out, we put a smile on, but internally we're dying.
Right.
And I think the bad thing about the world that we live in these days is like this. It's like everyone portrays this image of being perfect, especially if you get consumed by social media and all of these things. It's like you'd go on social media and you'd think that everyone has a better life than you. And I feel like, why can't we just be real? Like, why can't we? But then again, on the flip side, it's like, oh, but you're not going to post your negative times on social. But I think that if we genuinely did things like that more and be more real, then people wouldn't feel the way that they're feeling
Right.
now, especially younger people.
Yeah.
Who I think with us, we've kind of got an objective view because we know life without social media, so we
Right.
can detach from it.
Yeah.
But when you've been born into social media, like literally from childhood all the way up to now, it's a full sense of reality, man.
That's not the reals, man. And it's hard to explain that to someone that doesn't get it. That really isn't the reals. And you can have a smiley face and whatnot, and you're hurting inside. It happens so many times. So
It's funny because also I think these days, and it's an extension of social media, but it's like you say to someone, "How are you?" And the response is, "I'm okay," or "I'm good," but no, like, how are you?
because you kind of feel like no one really wants to hear you say, "I'm sad." Like you felt, because it becomes so. What's the word? Like, I don't want to say generic. It's like you don't say "How are you?" meaning "How are you?"
No,
it's almost like "Good morning."
Yeah, it's like a saying. It's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're right."
Oh, how are you? Okay. Like you
Literally.
expect okay, because it's like "Good morning" to people. Don't really say "How are you?" thinking people are gonna say, "I don't feel well at all." Da, 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 da. But regardless, if someone says anything similar, you might say, "Oh, you're gonna be fine," and that's it.
And that's
and you go
another
straight
thing
to
as
it.
well, because like recently I've been feeling low myself, and I got pissed off with some of my friends, and I tried to explain it to them. I don't need to hear all this motivational stuff right now.
No.
Because it gets to a point where people, oh no, God only gives his battles to his strongest soldiers. No, I'm actually at breaking point now.
Right.
I need someone to talk to so I can get this off my
Yeah,
chest. But everyone just like, because so what I compare it to is like, if you get a cut and you just put a plaster on it, you haven't tended to it. You just
It's
keep
still
covering
there.
it up. So
Yeah.
it just keeps festering and festering and festering until you get to boiling point. And eventually, next minute it's going to be gangrene and you got to cut it off. And I think that's what it gets to, because I feel like these days everyone's just trying to be perfect. So when you talk to people, they're not here. It's like they're not listening.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
Just
cut you,
hearing
I cut
to
your story.
respond. No, it's fine.
So after you went up to the priest,
Yeah. And I just started crying, and I just said, "Well, I was there." And my sister was very surprised about everything, and then we prayed, and I went to catch my bus, and on that the drive back is when
Thinking
it kicked
time.
in like, yo, I felt like I don't feel like I had a voice remind me I wouldn't save you a second time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and like y- I was meant to catch that first bus basically, but then if my life was spared, I might as well make something out of it. So on my way back, I was just like, you know what, if I'm not finding jobs or if I'm struggling to find a job or whatever, I might as well find a way to create money. Like I know these skills from Infansipin back in the day. I know how to make things happen if it's not happening. So I'm just thinking, and it's when I got back, I just started putting things in place. And my mate is just also, I think a few months after that, my mate was like ACS president. So it's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh,
That's Afro Caribbean Society.
right,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. And I thought, I'll do events or PR or whatever. And then he's like, oh, cool, that's your first shot. And then that's how it started for me. But then I also found a job as a Christmas temp in Comet, the electrical store.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing mad hours yeah, to stay afloat from December. And then that's another story to itself. But yeah,
That's amazing. And you know what it is as well? It's just a change of mindset sometimes.
yeah.
Because you're still the same person. Your situation's completely the same. Just because you got on that bus didn't give you £10 or £20 in your pocket. You still had the same amount of money, but because you changed your mindset, you started focusing on the solutions
Right.
rather than on the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it sounds like you allowed yourself to have conversations with people because there were people there
Right.
within arm's reach
Yeah.
who were able to help you
Yeah.
anyway. And those
Yeah.
people were there anyway.
Yeah, and like my sister was supporting me to an extent with like my fees for that first year. So it opened me up a little bit. Like you're not in this world alone. You know, you
Yeah.
can't do it all by yourself.
Exactly.
So yeah.
That's amazing. So you started putting on these student nights and freshers parties and comedy
was lit.
shows and all of that.
It was lit.
Yeah, but then you went on to did you invest in a nightclub?
So I owned it.
You owned it.
Yeah.
Well done.
So I used to do all of these raves, end of year balls, comedy shows, fashion shows, whatever. But then it got saturated at one point. And I remember there's this guy his name is Bassi. His name is Bassi. So he owned one of the biggest nightclubs in Coventry that we used to do raves in. And I started my Runway show. So we're doing rehearsals in the nightclub during the day. And then I was just having conversations with him, and I said to him, "See, next academic year, I don't want to do raves anymore. I feel like even freshers are doing raves now." And to be honest, I wasn't doing none of these things for the pleasure of it. I just needed money.
Money, yeah.
Right. So that was my way of funding myself. Oh, people wouldn't know that. And I just felt like I kind of outgrown it. And I wouldn't rave and do whatever anyway. You never catch me dancing at a rave ever, or even my own rave. I felt like my time there in that space was just done, and I just wanted to
Like
move
you
on to
plateaued,
something else.
like you
Yeah,
got to the point
yeah.
where there was-
And I'd proved it because I've done like gigs, Skepta,
well
all
done.
of these big names in their prime. So what else do I really want to do? So I remember having a conversation with him to say I want to get into like real estate or something, or owning, or even his assistant for his nightclub or something like that. And then he said if I'm serious, I should meet him the next day at this pub, right? And then I went, and then he said there's this space he's got down the road, and it's in like a busy area, and if I wanted it, then I can have it and then renovate it, and then we can have some splits. But then I brought some of my friends in, and we bought him out.
Okay.
Yeah, so then I came up with the name of the nightclub, and then also that also taught me a whole different thing in life. But it was just funny because you had to learn how to not learn. You had to paint, do carpentry. You have to be on a
Okay.
tight budget. You just bought someone
Yeah.
out of his
So you,
space,
you spent
right?
all your money on the actual
Right.
place.
So
Now you have to fix it up.
upholstery, all of that. We were doing that. Like painting the whole bit.
Wow,
everything.
You've lived
Yeah.
a very full life
But it was
of
it was
experiences.
it was great to say you own a nightclub while still a student, right? And then
That's
it still had
dope.
never been done. So it's just progress at that point, I believe.
And imagine like you went from about to go on a bus to end it all. And what was the like space of time between that bus journey and owning the nightclub?
That would be like 4 years. because I did foundation year, so
Okay.
that's like 4 years. And was my end of year was when I started the nightclub. Again, even the highlight of it. So I remember my first freshers rave. Right, I couldn't get in because I didn't have an ID.
Oh wow.
But that walk back home, Jesus, I can never forget it. I was like, what am I doing here? Who even told me to come to uni? How am I even gonna have fun with any of my friends? Da 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 da. And then another side of me is like, watch.
Put on your own rave.
Yeah.
You don't need no ID.
Yeah. It's like, all right, cool. You ain't let me in because I don't have an ID. Watch, I'm gonna do my own.
It's like the devil and the angel
Right,
on one
yeah.
side.
But it was just like a full circle on my graduation party, and I'm just watching people have fun, and I can, like they always do, and I'm thinking, oh, a few years ago you couldn't even get into a nightclub in this same area, right? And now you've like employed like student as your stuff, and
No, they're working
right,
for
yeah.
you.
So it was good, man.
So
at that
you
time.
you founded several businesses. So you had say cheese photography.
Yeah, well, do you know this? That was, originally,
And then you had
you're
party
killing me.
vibes.
Yeah, Party Vibes used to do the raves and all of these other events.
And then VVX Media Group. Are any of those still trading now?
Now, BBX is still valid. So my mate, Kobe, we were speaking about Kobe earlier. So Kobe was like this mad talented guy. He was from Ghana too. Right? We
Okay.
could relate and was like, we're almost like brothers. And I was on my business flex. So he would send me art and he's like, oh, bro, what do you think about it? And I'll put on my Instagram, I was like, oh, this guy's sick. But I didn't think he thought he was sick. It was just for I just doing it. And then he would just keep sending me stuff. So what I'll do is whenever I have my events, especially like my runway show in like a theater or whatever it is, I'll make Kobe have his pre-show art exhibition.
Okay.
So that was like his first exhibition. So just before people go into like
The fashion show,
yeah, the show, they'll watch all Kobe stuff. And for like the 3 years that we did the show in Coventry, I think that's what we kept doing. And then when we came to London to do O2 and everything,
So that was like
he
art
stuck
meets
with it.
fashion instead of art meets music.
No, but our thing was more of just more than fashion, It was like a full creative production. I don't
Okay.
think we get a credit for that, but because the name sounds more fashion,
Yeah.
I understand when people say it's a fashion show.
So that's still what I was going to ask you. Like, where
Right.
did the name come from?
So I started that with a friend of mine called Daryl, who was my housemate then, and he wanted to do a fashion show for his sister. So he approached me about it, and I was just thinking, what if people don't like your sister's stuff? Then what we gonna do? How about we get other
Other
designers,
as well.
and then put a little twist to it and see how it goes. And then I had another housemate called Sinead, and she was like this genius lady, right? And girl at that time, and she used to go Warwick, and she's like, "Oh, this could be fun. We can do this. We can put a bit of theater in there, a bit of musical, a bit of art, a bit of this." So I was like, we coming up with something here. Why don't we try it?" But at that time, I had the luxury to try anything, and I'm guaranteed it will work because like I just done so much over 3 years. People kind of believe it
Believe in you,
because we didn't
yeah.
even know
They'll
what
show
we're
up,
doing,
yeah.
right? People show up to experience it, but we didn't know what we're doing. But it sold out, and it was just a great experience. And I remember I would walk down the road, and I was like, "Oh, you look like a model. Do you want a model?" All my life, we had no casting. We had no casting.
No casting.
Literally zero. We had no casting. You look like a model on street. There's a girl called D. She will tell you this. Like, "Oh, do you want to art? Or do you want to do this? Or do you want to join the team?" And it was like the most beautiful thing, right? Because people that didn't even know they could do makeup were on the makeup team. People. But it all came out.
Some clown makeup going down
trust,
the runway.
you didn't want to know how the girls look, right? But it's just the experience of it was amazing, and it
Sounds
came
so
out.
dope.
Yeah, it was one of like the best events we've done.
So now the Runway group is like split into like 3 divisions. So you've got your annual production. How would you describe that? What's that experience like?
The split came about when I kind of realized that we're doing so much for the young people that are in our space without us knowing, and it wasn't structured. So people come back to me for like a reference or for an introduction to this company or this person,
That's
or
true.
will say, "Oh, I need content on my portfolio. Can I join your team for this?" So I just thought all of those things were just a given or a side, product of putting a show together. But I didn't realize that with the right structures in place, you can actually scale it up or even commercialize it at one point. So after our 3 years in Coventry, I just realized let's now put structures in place, and all of these youth development things that we do, just put it together as a youth development arm. And then we've always given or donated to charity every show, even from the first pilot that we didn't know what we
well
were doing.
done.
Yeah, I think it's just a charitable side of me, but that's what I put into almost everything I do. And then I was like, let's create our own charity drive and operation, and where we do donations to homeless people and whatnot, and create awareness about other charities that have youth issues, and then also focus on the show as a creative production. So in the future, we don't just have My Runway, we can now have a theater production under the creative production arm. So that's where the difference
divisions came
right,
in.
Came
so
in
how
play.
do you choose the theme each year? Because I heard that each year you have a different theme.
So each year we do have a different theme. So we've had future youth to see how young people will look in like the next whatever years, right? And we've had the youth will be televised, which we run season 1 and season 2. And what else did we have? Something, right? But I think I've been blessed with branding or naming. So I come up with cool names and it sticks.
It works.
So I hate taking credit for stuff, but for that I think I should take credit for. But
why not? You should take credit for all of it. If you put the work in, why not? So you've worked in partnership with like the BFI for film productions and also with Condé Nast for fashion. How did those partnerships come about?
Our youth development arm is our fastest growing, just because there is so much to do with everyone. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what your ethos is. We can do something with you, right? So with BFI, as part of our campaign, which was the Youth Will Be Televised, we wanted to create awareness about young people doing amazing things in our society. So we focus on film and approach BFI to say, you know what, we can showcase amazing screenwriters, producers, filmmakers, actors, and run a panel discussion and also have a networking session at the end of it. And they liked it. So that's like our first collaboration with them at the BFI space. And then we also did a similar one for music with BPI. And BPI owns like the charts and the music awards and the Brit School and stuff like that. So we done a similar one with like A&Rs in the industry, songwriters, artists. We had Avelino, we had One Ace, and a couple people that are under like 35 or 30 that have their own things going on in the music industry. And then we've done a similar one with Fashion Retail Academy to run a fashion industry night and highlight young people in the fashion industry that are doing stuff and also discuss issues that young people face. So like senior role versus junior role. You got all the ideas, but someone is taking the credit for it, or someone is not respecting your position just because you're younger. No, stuff like that came out.
And is your focus on the BAME community or is it open to everyone?
I mean, I think because our base has been BAME, most of the people that we attract are, but it depends on what we're doing. It's obvious you can see the diversity in audience based on what we're curating.
And what's the ratio, male to female?
It'll be hard to tell. Team or audience?
In terms of the creatives that you attract on these youth schemes?
I think we attract more females, 100%.
Yeah,
I
was
say
going to
that.
ask that because I was having a conversation with this lady yesterday, and she also wants to offer opportunities to creatives, and she found that predominantly it's all females and they can't seem to access the males. And I was just wondering, I was hoping that you had the solution.
No, I don't. And it's a good question because with team, there's more girls, right? With audience, there's more girls. I don't know what's happening to our young men.
What's happening
but
to the men,
there is a lot more entrepreneurship and idea development happening with females. For some weird reason, there's more event organizers that are girls that I know compared to the guys. And to be honest, why is that a problem?
I'm not saying that it's a problem.
Not directed to you. I think if there's more women in the world anyway.
No. But it's just like, are we missing out on these young boys? And is there something that we're not doing in terms of targeting them, or are they? Because I feel like with women in general, we naturally we're more forward thinking, so we'll go out and we'll look for opportunities, whereas a guy might be
Right.
more laid back and they're more practical. So I don't know. I was hoping that maybe you you
I'll,
managed to
listen, I'll be bluffing if I start explaining. I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I literally don't. I know a lot more girls or ladies are pushing harder than our men. It's just the facts.
Interesting. So you've also is it a project that you have for mental health awareness called Taboo?
Yes. So taboo was created to have a forbidden conversation. So open discussion about things that people don't like to talk about, like youth suicide, um, people that have been through it or nearly went through it, people that have lost people to it, and the effect on the community in general, the effect on family, the effect on personal life and whatnot. So, like key things that people can talk about and also relay information or collective information back to local councils and whatnot to implement certain things that can make our community even better. So we've done one on knife crime and we've done one on youth suicide, and we've taken a break to now either tour it or create different solutions
So
through
what
our
is it?
media.
Is it like a seminar situation, or is
It's
it
an
like
open
a
discussion. So
okay, like a
sometimes we
panel?
might have a panel sometimes, just to get different perspectives. So like our very recent one on knife crime, we had Double S and another rapper, and then we had like one community leader and different other people in the society. But then the youth suicide one was just one presenter, and everyone else was just contributing and sharing,
Their
what their
stories.
stories and how they've been affected by.
So what's your view on mental illness? Because Ryan, my co-host, and I were discussing it the other day. Because I've been someone that's always been open to go into counselling and things like that. It's never been an issue for me because I was exposed to it from a young age. So I'm thinking now there seems to be more awareness about mental health, and there also seems to be a lot of focus on young people, and young people have more mental illnesses now. Do you think it's the fact that mental illness is more like prevalent now, or is it just the fact that they're more honest about it?
I think people are more honest, and also I think people can now put a name to it. So it's always been there. People have always been battling it, but they just didn't know what it was or how to even,
How to verbalize it,
yeah,
yeah.
speak about it.
And also not to be labeled as crazy.
Yeah,
Because in the black community in particular, I know that as soon as you say to someone, I might be depressed, oh, you're going crazy. Or you not, even if you mention that you go into counselling,
right.
they automatically assume that, yeah,
It's a cultural
that's
thing.
it. You're
Yeah.
crazy now.
It's a cultural thing that we've carried over, and it's just. But I'm excited that we're making progress, which is more important, and a lot more conversations are being had at an earlier age. Because if I tell you, so many parents are more disconnected from their kids than they think they know.
Yeah.
Last week Sunday after church service, we normally just get in the car and just leave, right? We spent an hour in the car park speaking to two girls, and one of them was saying, if not the fact that she kind of fears the whole discussion about death, she would have gone all the way. And her only issue is she doesn't feel like she fits in college or on social media because she doesn't have a perfect body. And she looks decent to me, right? And her parents obviously don't know these things. And she feels if she puts up something on Snapchat and not a lot of people are watching it, and then she showed me an Instagram girl's body that she want to have, and she feels like she's too skinny, and all of these things, right? And then the other girl, she's taking like a year out, not gap year. What's the year before you go uni? Is that a gap year too?
Okay, cool little gap here.
Yeah, and to get herself right, saving money to buy the right clothes, and she's just done her teeth. She's still paying for it. To get the perfect smile to go to uni.
Wow.
Right, and this is just the surface of it, of the conversation. But because I have pretty much a lot more of those conversations, I was not new to it, but the look on the faces of like our elders, church elders and whatnot, and one lady that I got home with, and she's like older, she's like in her 50s. She had no clue, but she goes to church with these, right? And then there's the other girl. She said she sings in church. Sometimes she said the reason why she doesn't sing is because she feels like everyone has seen her clothes and she doesn't feel like she's well dressed enough, or she's not feeling well in herself, and just no one to speak to. And it's sad, but it's just a weird space for these kids, man.
So it's like they're dealing, because even when I was in school and things like that, I think the main things that we had were just things like people bleaching.
Yeah.
Or light skin and dark skin, you know?
No,
but you're telling me you're getting your teeth done?
Yeah, and it's not like she's getting it. It's done.
She's done it.
Yeah.
So you're now in debt before you go to put yourself in.
But you know how
debt.
it gets in this country. You can spread it. So you can pay what, £50 a month or 20.
But the thing is, it's like if you start with your teeth, it doesn't end there.
Exactly. So she was like, "Oh, I was only gonna do that, but then only thing I'm gonna do is a BBL,
What's that?
a Brazilian butt lift." And I said, "That's surgery." And I was like, "Oh, they're transferring the fat from my X to my Y or whatever, repositioning." So in her mind, it's not that
It's
deep.
not that deep, yeah,
because it's her own fat being transferred. And then I just said, "Do you watch a lot of like reality shows?" Not to say there's nothing wrong with it. Well, to me, to an extent, right? It's like, yeah. And I was like, "Which ones do you watch?" And it's like the typical ones that come out, right? And I just said to her, "That's what's shaping your mentality, because those are your perfect body types. Those
are
are
not perfect.
Right.
You're aspiring to be something that isn't even real.
Right. So sorry, no one should misquote me on this, but their issues are not real.
Yeah. Because what they aspire to be isn't real.
Yeah, it's false.
My friend, she's a scout for Wilhelmina, the modeling agency,
yeah.
and she was mentoring this young girl who she thought was extremely attractive. So she was trying to get her into the modeling industry, and she sat down with her and she said, "Oh, what do you aspire to be?" "I aspire to be like Kylie Jenner." And not even to be like Kylie Jenner in terms of what she's achieved.
Right.
She aspires to look like Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
But we know it's fake. It's like everyone knows that it's fake.
Right.
You know it's not her lips.
Right.
You know that wasn't the body that she was born with. So why would you aspire to be something that you know that it's fake?
But that's
strange.
That's the standard of beauty that they're growing up knowing. So I'm an 80s baby, so I've seen a lot more of naturally figured women on my screens, and automatically I grew up, loving women like that or wanting a woman like that. So, but then things get introduced whilst we get older, sorry. But remember, people came into the world in the late 90s and whatnot, and they got used to the people on the screen, so that's their norm. Right.
And that's the thing, because even like I remember when I go to hairdresser and things like that now, people talk about plastic surgery like if it's just.
And you'd be surprised the girls that have done it that we can't tell.
No, it's really sad though that at university age,
she ain't been in uni yet. She's skipping college because of how she feels about how people feel about her or whatever it is, and she doesn't wear the same type of clothes and whatnot. So this is a mentality she's going to uni with, right? God knows.
It's just gonna get even worse. That's so sad. So you also partner up with Papyrus. Is that
Papyrus?
Papyrus.
That's not your fault. I got it wrong the first few times.
Papyrus.
Yeah.
So was that a conscious choice, or
of course,
just because
with my personal issues, I don't want to call it personal issue, with my experience in the past, and then also there was a photographer that did some work for us. Siderius, his name was Michael, and he passed away to suicide.
Sorry.
So I remember we had just finished rehearsals and we got the news, and I just said "Yo, we got a platform now, bro. We in London now. Like, it's not Coventry, it's not Midlands, it's not wherever. We might as well start using our platform for something. Like, it's not just entertainment anymore." And that's when it really hit me that thousands of people coming to see an event. What else can we show them?
Yeah.
Apart
what value
from,
are you adding?
And that's when it just kicked in to find an official charity partner that kind of shares the same ethos or drive or sentiment. And I remember I asked our charity coordinator to look for charities that deal with youth suicide. And I said to her, I just need you to come up with one name, regardless how many you find. I just need you to come up with one name. I'm gonna do my search, and I'm gonna come up with one name too. And then she said, "I got my name," and I said, "I got my name,"
Was it the
and I
same
said,
name?
"Does it start with P?" She's like, "Yeah," and then it was Papyrus. So we just knew it was a perfect match. And then
Brilliant.
when I went to speak to the director, it was like an emotional conversation. So he lost like a son, two sons, two
wow.
youths, right?
Two.
Yeah, and it's led to that. So it was just, and I was just sharing my experience with him and whatnot. And he's, you know what, we're gonna make sure it falls in line with World Suicide Prevention Day, so there's more avenue for you to speak about what you've done and whatnot. So when we did Copper Box Arena, they came to speak. When we did the O2, right, they came to speak, and it's probably going to continue going on until we keep reaching as many people.
Yeah. So, from another charitable perspective, you finance most of this single-handedly.
What do you mean most of this?
All of this.
Yeah, we haven't been lucky with funding. Unfortunately, you get a conversation about you tick the boxes or you're doing amazing things, but the money never comes through. And maybe we haven't done as much in getting bid writers or playing the game, but there's a questionable issue concerning funding in this country. But then you might have to know certain people, so get in line with certain things, or be extremely lucky. But it won't stop us. We'll just keep going and hoping that one day we get more, maybe sponsorships or more funding. However, and then we can scale it up from there. But ever since, it's just been solely funded. But it's not a bad thing. It just goes to show we all believe in what we're doing.
Yeah, and if you keep going, like you said, eventually the doors will open.
Yeah, and they are
you're
opening.
Gonna you shout so loud so they can't ignore you.
Right.
So you won the British Citizens Award in 2016. How did it feel to be recognised?
That was this year.
Was that this year?
Okay, the Black British Business Award was 2016.
Oh, sorry.
But the British Citizen Award for Arts.
My bad.
that was 2018.
That was January, right?
Yeah, January.
See, I just got my dates wrong.
No, it's fine. They sound similar, so it's BCA and BBA.
Too many B's, man.
Too many B's, man.
British Award, Black Award, this award, that award.
Yeah.
There's so many awards now.
Which is great.
But how did you feel to be recognised?
Oh, the BBAs, it was just, I didn't see that coming. But then I didn't even know what it really was until I was there. And I was like, yo, people need to pay £350 to get into this.
Serious?
Like, that's the
entrance fee?
No, that's the ticket for the night, right? So I wanted my missus at that time to come with me. I had to pay £350, and I never paid for.
It's like, I'll just send you a picture.
Right. But I ended up paying it. But I just started thinking, oh, this is a premium thing. This is different, right? And I was excited, and it gave me a whole different look to awards. Cause like, if I didn't win, I just feel like, oh, maybe I'm not doing right or whatever. But that particular thing changed my whole mindset, because just being in that, like what we were speaking earlier, it's just a different collective of Black excellence. It's not the cheap ones we throw on Instagram easily. It's really people that are doing
actual influence,
right?
Like we said,
some serious
done
stuff,
real things,
in business and finance and tech, STEM, all of these areas that we kind of choose to ignore if it's not creative. And it's amazing. And it's just me speaking to XYZ and saying, I do this, I do that. And it was just, I felt like a winner. But I was a finalist anyways. But then it was through that, the Evening Standard contacted me like months after to say they'd seen my profile on the BBVA list and they want to run a story on me. And then that's when we got our biggest publication through Evening Standard.
Yeah.
So even out of that came something. And then the BCA, I got nominated. And I got the honorary. So there's no awards. They don't call it awards because they give it to you. So no one votes or nothing like that. Yeah. Cool. So you're there with people, like real community people. So like I was the youngest and one of the only Black people in like 40 people that are getting the honorary thing. And the other Black woman was like in her 40s and she's a doctor, and it's just me. So it was great to be in that space. And now I have to put like BCA next to my name, and apparently you don't pay for a parking ticket or something. I don't know. It's come to some.
Really?
I don't want to say, and it's not true,
Can I
but
just
I just
borrow it and put it next to my name?
possibly. But it comes with some perks, which is great, and it just goes to show that people acknowledge what you're doing for the community. You know, and you're standing next to people that are in their 80s that are doing some key things for their community because they want to.
Definitely.
And that's the space I've always wanted to be in and never, feel complacent.
Brilliant. So in the past, you've described yourself as half Branson and half Gandhi. Why is that?
I think my life has just been go getter, make it happen, create. And that's very Richard to me. And then I think since secondary school, I've just developed a big heart for people from different backgrounds or underprivileged, and it just goes to showing, our charity work, and that's half Gandhi. I'm not full of any of them because I don't want to be like anyone.
You want to be like
Right.
yourself?
But there's things from people that I take on, and I feel like those two people kind of embody what I aim to be in life.
Brilliant. So we normally ask if you can go back to your younger self in year 11, what would you say to yourself and why? But I want to take you back to that bus journey. What would you say to yourself now, knowing everything that you know and everything that you've been through?
Just go get it. Nothing is, no condition is permanent. Understand that. So even when you're winning, just expect whatever. Not being pessimistic, but just know the times, right? There's a time for this, there's a time for that. So once you understand the principles that govern the world we live in, you have a sense of awareness. And that's where a lot of people don't have. So you become sheep automatically because you have no awareness of who you are, of whose you are, and of where you are. So now I know the times. So when I'm in debt, it's not going to last. And even if it does, so what? And when things are not going right, well, we've had glory days. It's going to come back again. So why worry about it? Worry's never helped anyone. So now I know the times. So I'll just say to my younger self, just hope you know the times. Yeah.
Just ride the wave when it comes, but it will get better.
Yeah, 100%.
Amazing. So are there any new projects that you have coming up that
We
we
have
should
some
know
exciting
about?
things. Run This Town is our talk series. So we've interviewed Dumio Burota, founder of Disturbing London, amazing guy. We've done Glenn Akins, who's like A&O president for Virgin. He's in Sony now, so he sounds like Craig David, Emily Sunday, great guy. And we just done Trevor Nelson. And I've been chasing this one guy my whole life.
Who?
Listen, I chased him before we had a name for the series. It was built around him. His name is Oswald Boateng.
Oh, wow, he was there last night.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Oh!
I can try and see if I can.
No, he
he's
wants to
on
do
board.
it. Yeah,
Brilliant.
so he's given. We've got a date penciled in. He wants to speak to me, and I'm panicking. But
You built up to this moment.
oh, listen, he is the epitome of black excellence.
No, he's just so regal. Like when you see him, it just because I remember last night when I saw him and I was like, wow, he just looks like royalty.
He is different, Klopp, and he stayed the same for 30 years. You think Farrell doesn't grow? He doesn't grow. Listen, Oswald's the guy, and fingers crossed. I'm saying this, I really want it to happen because I just know we will learn so much from him. And then we got a creative production coming up called Blank Face in Charing Cross Theatre. It's one of our first theatre productions that we're putting out. And then we have a charity donation that's paid every year in December. And fingers crossed, forget fingers crossed, eyes on the cross. We're going to be doing our very first gala called Run Gala, which is
wow.
a real, black excellence with a bit of everyone else. But like, I really think it can be the next thing.
Yeah,
just
you're
because of
starting
it,
something.
right? And it's all conversation driven. No seats, no.
Oh, really? So
Right.
it's a networking.
Networking, but talk about your year, your projections for next year. Speak about the people you want to connect X, Y with. Create that conducive environment for people to speak, feel comfortable, take pictures, do the hashtags, but also leave with something, with a bag full of cards or emails or value, excited for the next year, knowing they've met some people that can change their lives.
Brilliant. So where can our audience find you on socials?
My
and your
Runway
website?
group is our handle for everything. My Runway group. My personal one. Oh,
To you.
the DMs are
You
empty.
want to slide in those DMs.
Like you did. Kojo, Steve
No
Austin. It's my thing for Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, that's the only ones I'm very active at. LinkedIn is Kojo Marfo. You can't miss me. I think there's only one of me.
Brilliant. Thank you. It's been an absolutely amazing conversation.
I know, man.
I've learned so much about you, more
don't do
than
this.
I expected. The thing is, I never go into these interviews with any expectations, just
Which is
because you
great.
just never know what the person's gonna open up and say to you. So for most part, the questions are just triggers,
Right.
just to get you to start talking and
Right.
opening up. So it's been an absolute pleasure learning about your
Thank you.
story, and I'm hopeful that we get invited to some of these events.
Let's stay connected. There's more coming.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening, guys. You can find us on all social platforms. You can find us on Instagram at For The Creators Podcast, also For The Creators Podcast on Facebook, and _The Creators on Twitter. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting down with Kojo. And yeah, remember to subscribe, review, and recommend the podcast. And we'll speak to you soon.